It's a bull. Good morning. Hey, what's up? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea, as always. Beautiful as always. Hope your day is good. Mine seems to be working out pretty well. We got the live Deerfield beach cam on today, and I was going to use another cam, but this gave me a kind of a good example of, I like to use examples of life in general, what the fish are going through right here, which is turbulence and lack of clarity. And it kind of just occurred to me that, oh, there goes a big snook. Sorry, didn't mean to go off on you, but I'm a big fisherman. Boy, that's a hell of a fish to catch there too. Sorry about that, but there's another good point. And what happens when you have turbulence and lack of clarity? Well, dangerous things can happen. Like a small fish could bump into a big snook like that, not even see him, right into his mouth. There's all kinds of things that happen to us when we lack clarity and times are turbulent. And that's exactly what we got going on right now. We've got very turbulent times, and the clarity is not too good. I mean, the people that we're supposed to trust, the people that we're supposed to get clarity from, are just not there for us. And it's a shame, really, what's going on in the world. No less. Let's talk about that a little bit. And let me talk about something that happens quite frequently. It's called the big lie. And that term's been used by a couple different people in the past, some infamous people as well, that I'm not going to discuss here at all. But the big lie is a propaganda tactic. It's been around for ages and ages and ages. And if you take a look here, the definition, even under Merriam-Webster, says definition of a big lie: a deliberate, gross distortion of the truth, used especially as a propaganda tactic. Well, what does this have to do with precious metals, gold, and silver? Well, it has a lot to do with gold and silver because basically everything that you read about gold and silver on corporate news, and again, I'm starting to sound like a broken record when I come to this, but you get no clarity when it comes to news on precious metals, and and again, going back to that clarity thing, let's just go to the definition of a big lie: gross distortion of the truth, and we see that all the time. We see that especially in the big smackdown that we had a couple Sundays ago, and we all know what happened. I mean, it's pretty obvious. However, they still had to spin it some way. Even the corporate news wouldn't acknowledge it. They had to spin it that it was a fat finger error, perhaps, or maybe some big company had to sell in the middle of the night. You know, come on, give me a break. The big lie. But there's so many big lies in our life, and the last thing we need when we have turbulent times and lack of clarity is big lies. It makes the picture even more confusing. And that's exactly what we got going on in the world. Let's take a look at spot prices. Before I go into spot prices here, I've got my new spreadsheets here. I'm going to tell you what the best deals out there for my local peeps, and for you folks that don't live in my local area, you'll get an idea of what you should not be paying. Not so much what you should be paying, but what you shouldn't be paying for precious metals. What is too much money, in my opinion. Let's take a look at markets here and overnight. I'm going to do a quick refresh, and let's take a look. See what we got going on our refresh. Currently 1787. It looks like we were as high as 1794. It's going to break that $1,800 mark. Remember what I told you about psychological numbers? It's weird. It's like 1,800, 1,700, 1,900, 2,000. Weird even numbers when it comes to gold. Silver, usually it's like the $5 increments, $30. I think right now is that magic number. However, let's not digress into that. I like that word, digress. You know why? Because I do it so often. So 1783.79 and the high of 1794.26, currently at 1787, just hovering a little bit below that $1,800 mark. I think it's going to explosively go above that at some point, but I'm not finished with the monkey hammering yet, in my opinion. You still got Powell going to jawbone markets down, I believe, in a week or two, when they come out and they're going to announce they're going to taper off QE again, or talk about doing it again by the end of the year or something like that, or next year. Whatever. It's jawboning, folks. It's jawboning. So I do expect to see another monkey hammering of gold and silver here coming up here, right around when Powell starts his jawboning markets. And it's not just jawboning gold down, as I said. It's jawboning the stock market stuff. It's jawboning the dollar. It's jawboning the economy up. But really, if you think about it, what choice do they have? They can't go out there and say, all is lost, folks. Just give it up. They just can't do that. So you know what? It's going to be like the deal with Afghanistan yesterday. That's what it's going to look like. The collapse or the economic situation is going to look like that. You know how we all of a sudden all the people in Kabul and all the people across Afghanistan are looking, and this is big news. This is why I'm using this as an analogy. Also, they're all looking, and the more in the evening they go to bed and they see the U.S. Base sparkling at night with the lights on and everything, and soldiers doing their stuff, and then all of a sudden they get up the next morning and it's gone. They're gone. They're just gone. Life has changed instantly like that. They gave no warning whatsoever. They knew they were pulling out, but they gave no warning whatsoever. They left the people holding the bag. And that's a similar thing that is what's going to happen with the economy in general. Is you're going to go to bed and you're going to feel comfortable. You're going to kind of comfortable, and you're going to look around. Everything's going to seem normal. And then when you wake up, it's not going to be the same again. And unfortunately, I don't mean to be pessimistic, and I'm not a pessimist. Overall, I'm an optimist. But when the clowns are running the show, you have to be a pessimist. You can't you can't be an optimist. Otherwise, you're feeding into the big lie, and that's exactly what I've been talking about, the big lie. Let's look at again silver right here, 23.54 and 23.85 is a high, 23.60, and platinum 997. Oh boy, got a little whack below. This kind of gives me an indication. Platinum is kind of backed off a little bit. We may see gold back off. Again, Powell's jawboning is coming up here, so you could see gold get monkey hammered a little bit again. However, after that, I don't see much happening after that as far as precious metals until the next Fed meeting. The thing is though, at some point, people get wise to the big lie. At some point, and people like us, precious metals people, for example, the savvy ones, people out there, and we're going to get into that in a second, a big giant company, and we're going to talk about savvy gold buyers, and let's take a look at other savvy gold buyers. But, huge company over here. What was the name of it? Palantir. Bought a huge amount of gold. Now these are very intelligent people that are worth millions or billions of dollars, I guess. Big companies that just bought gold here. We'll discuss that in a minute. But the big lie is that you want to be in the U.S. dollars. You want to be in the stock market. You want to be in housing or something like that. You don't want to be in gold and silver, of course. You know why? Because central banks own gold and silver. They don't want you in it. They want you in all the assets that they can own eventually or make money off of. Let's move along here, though. I don't mean to just keep trashing them. However, again, I'm an optimist, and a pessimist would say, listen, folks, we're all screwed. Let's just put our head in the sand or just kill ourselves or whatever it may be. I'm a pessimist. I mean, a pessimist. Oh, boy, Freudian slip. I'm an optimist because I don't really, an optimist can also see the bad things going on around them. They can recognize the big lie. They can recognize the propaganda. Because you see this stuff doesn't make you a pessimist. How you handle that information and how you deal with that information would make you a pessimist or an optimist. So given the situation that you're lied to, given the situation you're bullshitted on a daily basis about everything, so many things in life, from the people that we're supposed to trust and the people that are supposed to have our backs, government, media, politicians, officials, that kind of thing, and central bankers. I think we've all known they've never had our back. It's all been about them, but no less. You start to recognize this stuff, and when you start to recognize it, that's not being a pessimist. If you were just, again, give up and say all is lost, screw it, there's nothing I can do, that's a pessimist. An optimist would look at that, and my saying all the time, as I say, if you know how the game is played, you know who rigs the game, you can win. So my view is that, and that is being an optimist, is that we can see the issues. This is a big advantage that we have. The huge advantage of a lot of gold and silver stackers, we can see the economic issues out there, the political issues, all these things. And we're not believing the big lie. We got over the big lie a while back ago, as soon as we see it. Now, people may call us pessimists, but we're not. We're realists, and what we're doing is we're taking a look at the real situations out here, and we're making proactive plans not to be part of that big failure. And that's why we own gold and silver. primarily. Well, didn't mean to go long range on you, but let's take a look at the big lies. Let me just say big lie, as we can go down the aisle here, and I'll give you an opinion on some of my stuff here. Not too much in precious metals. One good article, again, I was going to talk about Palantir buys over $50 million of gold bars, preparing for a future with more black swans. Whew, that's a good one. We're going to read that in a moment. And again, here's people, smart people, that don't believe the big lies. Does this make them pessimists? No, they're optimists. They see a situation and they're going to turn it into their advantage, and that's what we do as buyers out here, precious metals buyers. I'm going to get to this article here in a moment as soon as I get to GAT.org. And again, I told you I'd give you what the new prices are, good deals out there in gold and silver world or land. Let me just say big lie, big lie, big lie, big lie as to all these are. Okay, big lie. Big lie. That's sad. Really sad. And you know what? Not much news on this right here. I haven't seen a lot of news about it, but that's sad too. Big lie. I mean, when you go through news and you can, half the news or more is the big lie or the big propaganda push, the big propaganda spin. Well, hey, listen. Recognizing it is the first thing. So if you can recognize this stuff, what the big lies are and what the truths are, you're going to be a much better trader. And again, this just doesn't apply to precious metals and finding out who the big shorts are out there and who's shorting this market or that market, and who the crooked players are, and how the casino plays the game and how the casino rigs the game. This is not just precious metals. This is life in general. This is how life works in general, whether it's stock markets, whatever it may be. It's manipulated, folks. There's a lot of manipulation. There's a lot of big lies out there. And the guys that make the best decisions are the people that recognize the truth. And that's, again, I think that's a lot of gold and silver buyers. That's why they buy precious metals. And this is why some very, very, very genius billionaires bought precious metals as well. Let's get into that article. Begin the big lie here, another lie, look, another lie right there, and not lie, but my gosh, just nothing but propaganda and nonsense. And if you want to see even more of it, read Wall Street Journal, read corporate news. This is just ZH, Zero Hedge, corporate news. It's just full of it. And how do you know they're full of it? Because their news is nothing but optimistic. Optimistic economy, optimistic about the government, optimistic about this. It's almost like the people that they're criticizing wrote the articles themselves. But again, that's my opinion on corporate news. Let's move over to GATA.org. Couple different little things here. Financial Times, believe in unicorns, not gold. Really good article. And as if you're a new viewer to this, GATA.org is the best website out there as far as telling you who the players are and how they rig the game. And other good stuff. Believe in unicorns, not gold. They bring up a really good point here. Let's take a read on this real quick. I'm going to take a sip of coffee real quick because my throat's getting a little dry again. Hang on. Sorry about that dead silence. In its post today, editorial today, a 50-year quest for monetary stability, the Financial Times, i.e. Corporate news, the posturing mouthpiece of the Anglo-American financial establishment, okay, corporate news, I'll take that too, notes the 50th anniversary of the destruction of the Bretton Woods system of linking gold to the U.S. dollar and through the dollar to all major currencies. The FT, Financial Times, again, corporate media, is spinning another big lie here. And again, we know these are big lies. Declares that nostalgia for the gold standard is misguided and misplaced. And I agree with GATA.org so much on this. Again, if you listen to corporate media, whether it's Bloomberg, FT, CNBC, Wall Street Journal, if you listen to these people, you'll go broke, folks. You will. You're just going to be part of the giant masses of sheep that are going to follow them off the cliff. You'll go broke. However, there's something to be said with following the crowd, too. That's, the crowd trade. You guys know that. But recognizing what you're doing when you're in a crowd trade is a smart thing. But again, that's a whole different story here, or a whole different subject. So FT declares that the gold standard is misguided, misplaced. GATA.org doesn't advocate returning, and this is their reply, to some sort of gold standard. GATA advocates free and transparent markets and the monetary metals and currencies. And and basically they're saying GATA.org supports fair markets, transparency, clarity, what we talked about with the fishes, clarity, and this will create less turbulent markets per se. And simultaneously, and let's see, GATA advocates free markets, transparent markets in the monetary metals and currencies, and simultaneously disclosure of all government interventions in the market, and thus limited and accountable government, in the belief that no one has to advocate return of some sort of gold standard, because if the gold market is ever made free and transparent, and all the government interventions ever have to be simultaneously disclosed, the world will perceive the false pricing, the big lie, of gold via derivatives and remonetize it and restore it as a world reserve currency in less than 48 hours. Of course they would. Again, we were fed the big lie by FDR. We were fed the big lie by Nixon. We were fed the big lie by the Federal Reserve in 1913 when the bankers took over our money, took over our lives more or less. GATA.org calls this stupid article out exactly. That's written by FT. And the FT is, again, just another propaganda mouthpiece of the man. Or the woman. Of course, that is precisely why governments long have sought to drive gold out of the world financial system, because it exposes their big lies, folks. And read the rest of this, and have intervened openly and surreptitiously against rising prices, as documented at length by GATA.org. So any gold dealers that you guys listen to, any people that you know, if you're listening to daily videos, if you're listening to the well, corporate media generally, or any person that does daily videos that is denial that the government intervenes in the gold and silver prices, they don't know what they're talking about, folks, and you probably shouldn't be listening to them. Because again, as I said, if you don't know how the game is rigged, you don't know who the players are, you don't know how the casino rigs the game, then you're pretty much fucking clueless. And that's how I consider, you know, I've seen some YouTubers out there that are in complete denial that the government manipulates these markets, and really, folks, they don't have a clue. They bought the big lie. They believed the propaganda, and that's why they're going to be in the situation they will at one point. So the conclusion of FT's editorial today is a ponderous and self-serving laughter. 50 years on, the lure of gold persists, and now in the false promises that crypto assets can achieve more stability than central bank money, the true lessons of Bretton Woods' demise is the opposite. Gold and its digital equivalents are no match for wise regulation and trust between countries. And oh sure, wise regulation and trust between countries, please call us when you see those unicorns grazing on the lawn of any central bank. So more or less, good article actually written by Chris Powell here, and it's at GATA.org. It's called Financial Times, Believe in Unicorns. It's exactly what I've been talking about. Bretton Woods, we talk about this stuff all the time as well. Excellent article. Definitely hit that when you're reading GATA.org. And here it is right here. You can hit the article and see what the FT, the propaganda by Financial Times says. I wouldn't even click the article. I wouldn't even give them the view, to be honest with you. That's my opinion. When I disagree with something, I don't even give them a view. I think that's more powerful than reading it sometimes. Craig Hemke, system of confidence is going down the tubes. Yes, Craig, it's not going down the tubes. It's been going down the tubes would imply that it just started. It's gone down the tubes a long time ago, Craig. We are, let's see. We're well past the apex of going down the tube, you know. So it's not going down; it's gone down. We're just in the stages of when we hit bottom here, or a wet level. We're like in the free fall right now. So when does this? When do we hit the ground? I don't know. Good article by Craig, though. Craig writes or talks about some good stuff as well. And the Great New Orleans Conference returns. This is a gold conference. If you live in New Orleans, this would be wonderful to attend. Any of you people that live near New Orleans, I would highly recommend you go to the New Orleans Investment Conference coming up here, Friday, October 1922. It's just too far for me to get away like that, and I'd love to go to New Orleans. But again, heads up for you people that live in New Orleans. Edva, the constitutional questions on money need to be answered. Gosh, I wish I had read this. I'm sorry. I would have brought that up. And to the thing that I told you I was going to talk about, smart people. What do smart people do? What are smart people that don't buy into the propaganda? What are smart people that know what propaganda and big lies look like? What are they buying today? What are smart, super rich, wealthy companies, corporations, and people that can see past all the big lies are buying? Well, it looks like at least one of them. And I looked at this company, Palantir, and hold on, let's kind of go into this article. Palantir, I'm sorry, I keep pronouncing their name incorrectly. While some companies such as Tesla are diversifying into Bitcoin, data analytics software company Palantir, data analytics too, folks. Think about that. That's pretty heavy. A data analytic company, you know, they got some computing power, so they must know something we don't for sure. Palantir bought $50 million in gold bars in August, the company disclosed in its latest earnings statement. The move reflects a growing company stashing cash in an unconventional asset in response to economic uncertainty spurred by the coronavirus pandemic and government's response to it. Yeah, and government's response to it, I would agree with that. That's more than the uncertainty by the coronavirus. I think the coronavirus is going to be the big excuse, actually, that's going to be used by central bankers and politicians. Well, it wasn't our fault. It was the pandemic's fault. That's what we're going to hear, but that's not the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is how governments responded to it and what they did before to screw this world up. But I digress. The price of an ounce of gold crossed the $2,000 mark for the first time last year as the pandemic worsened and U.S. government, trying to clean my Mac, as the U.S. government stimulus efforts continued. This year, investors have more loudly voiced concerns about inflation, and gold is sometimes viewed as a hedge against inflation, although prices are down 7% for the year. Some investors have thought cryptocurrencies might also serve that role. I would read the rest of the article here. I think it's pretty darn good. It's interesting looking. $50 million of gold, that's pretty hefty, man. And again, it's from people that have predictive software, too, so that should make you wonder. You know, a company that has predictive software is buying gold. They're predicting something that we're not seeing. And who is Palantir, I guess? Well, they certainly have a cool website. We build software that empowers organizations to effectively integrate their data decisions and operations. So besides just saying, hey, listen, a giant company bought gold, $50 million worth of gold, or a big software company, look at what they do. They do software that takes data and makes decisions for people. You start to wonder if they actually use their own software to make the decision to buy gold? I bet they did. Well, let's call it quits here and go into, as far as the news go and the big lie and all that stuff. You guys know where I was going with that. Let's look at some silver products here. What's the best deals out there? Well, as far as silver, I'm going to get my handy sheet, sip of coffee, one sec. We'll keep this short and sweet. The best deals that I'm seeing look like 100-ounce bars. As far as standard products, I'm sure there's deals out there you can get a little cheaper for some esoteric products, but the standard products, 100-ounce bars seem to be the best deal out there. You should be able to pick them up for spot plus $3 or less from your local dealers. Online, I'm not sure what they get for them, but we advertise to beat the SD bullion, APMEX bullion, JM bullion on the core products. Your local dealer should be able to do the same. But again, try not to pay more than $3 per ounce on 100-ounce bars. The availability is pretty good. 90% is not the best deal, except in Florida if you're spending under $500. Our local peeps, if you don't have $501 to spend to get you over that sales tax limit, not to buy 100-ounce bars or buy 1-ounce bars or 10-ounce bars, other products like that, which are a little bit cheaper. 90% there's no sales tax because it's a U.S. coin in Florida, so you can buy $5 worth and not pay sales tax. So that's the best deal if you're spending under $500 here. If you're spending over $500 in my neighborhood, the best deal out there is 100-ounce bars. As far as 10-ounce and 1-ounce rounds, looks like 10 ounces have come back a little bit by quarter cheaper. Premiums have come back to normal for sure, folks. Maybe a tad high on the ask side a little bit compared to where they were before, but they have come back, at least what I need to go out there and pay for stuff and make money to resell it. I try to make $1 an ounce on silver occasionally, less, depending on the quantity. Small quantities, $1 an ounce. And then on gold, we probably make about $45 an ounce or less. Again, depends on the quantities. I just do a fixed rate over the price of metals. 1-ounce rounds looks like if you shouldn't pay more than $3.75 for those. Shouldn't pay more than $3.50 for 10-ounce bars out there. You shouldn't. Now, if it's a local dealer and he's a couple cents over that, a tiny bit over that, hey, listen, for a little bit extra money, it's worth keeping that money local. So you know, you don't have to hold them to being the exact price of the big three out there, but you know, it doesn't hurt to be competitive. We're very competitive. Let's move on to gold prices. And hey, I don't talk about platinum real quick, but very often, but the platinum's a good deal out there. You can pick up platinum bars for like spot plus $85. You know, sub $1,000 platinum puts you in platinum at, you know, below $1,100, well below $1,100. So platinum, I think, is a really good deal. Some of you folks should consider adding some platinum to your pile there as well. As far as gold, best deals out there are, Eagles are still too much, in my opinion, even though they're like $1.25, and that's way down from the 200 they once were, and higher at one point. Maple Leaf's a good deal out there at spot plus $85, or $90, spot plus 90. Krugerrands have come down, they're like plus 85 now, or less. And what are KRs now? KRs are probably in that, again, I'm giving you the retail kind of prices, what you should pay at the most, you know, or less, kind of what we, you know, try not to pay much more than what I'm telling you on this stuff. And where is, let me look at the one other, bars. What are bars? Bars are still a good deal. However, you know, it's getting to be a point where Krugerrands and bars, I'd probably tell you to buy, Krugerrands are $5 more per ounce than bars. And at that level, I would prefer to buy Krugerrands now than bars for the $5. However, price-wise, you still can't beat the bars. Well, that's it for best deals. That's it for everything today. And I'd like to say that we only deal locally, so if you live outside my area, I can't sell to you unless you physically come into my store. And we're here 10 to 4 Mondays through Fridays for my local peeps. So if you don't live in my area and you listen to my videos, please go shop local. It's real important for a couple of reasons. First, at some point you're going to need to sell your stuff, and it's going to be real important for you to have a local dealer to sell to. Even if you don't have a local guy and you got to stay in your state, keep the money in your state at least. You know, if you got to drive an hour or two to find a dealer, do it once at least. And find someone you can work with, because at some point you're going to want to sell precious metals. Or you know, hopefully you'll be buying it from a local dealer. And again, if they're not real competitive, just, you know, be really nice and say, listen, I can buy them online for this, but I'd really rather buy them from you, Mr. Dealer. You know, if you can even charge me a little bit more than what I can buy them online for, and I can pick them up for you, it'd be worth it. Because one of the nice things about a local dealer too is if he knows what he's doing, he'll give you good advice on top of that, and he'll help you out. Loyalty pays, folks. Trust me on this. Well, that's really about it. Oh, besides that, keeping the money in your area is very important. I can't stress that enough. Well, that's it. This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Ware Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Call me anytime at 954-493-8811 between the hours of 10 and 4. Happy to help you with any questions you may have and other stuff. Hey, thanks for watching. Talk to you tomorrow. Have a nice day.